my left.
This is Unleash. Are you listening? Can you hear me? This is Unleash. Are you listening? Can you hear me? This is Unleash. Are you listening? Can you hear me? This is Unleash. Are you listening? Can you hear me?
With your host, Brandon Tierney, in 3, 2, 1.
What's going on, everybody? BT Unleashed in the house. Welcome on this Friday. What's going on? Hope everybody's doing well here. All right, so as you can tell, we've got the new studio, but obviously we are not quite yet there with the lighting. We will get there. Hopefully you guys are digging the backdrop. Hopefully everybody's having a good Friday. As I said, let's go. Let's get into it. Got a lot today. So yesterday I had to kind of cut things short a little bit, and I had to get out to St. John's earlier than usual to sit down and record the show with Rick. So today I got a lot. I got a joint Yankee Met combo. I got something on the Jets quarterback spot. I got a little something Leon Rose, who just continues to crush it. Now, first up, right? So I think you guys know this by now. I don't just gravitate to the negative. I don't think that way. You know, I try to examine things on the up and up, try to remain somewhat measured. I don't mean after a bad game when you lose your mind, but I'm talking about going into something and just analyze all the pieces, and then obviously to come up with a determination. I'm talking about the Yankees and Mets right now. On some level, you want to clearly incorporate the teams they're going against, what the other teams did, all that stuff in free agency and hot stove. So I don't want this to come across as negative. I don't want this to be negative, because yesterday we had even though it was a short show, we had a great show. Not many of you agreed. Matter of fact, a lot of you disagreed with my assertions regarding Boone and how, you know, I just think it's more above him. And I ran through like Torrey's lineup and his infield and Girardi's lineup and his infield last time the Yankees won the World Series. And I think, like, when you look at, you know, what the expectation is of the Yankees, and that's to ultimately win a championship one of these years, right? It's been a while. I just wanted to incorporate some fairness into it. Not to say that Boone's without fault, whether it's the Cortez move in the World Series game one against the Dodgers, Freeman grand slam, that was ridiculous. But I do think in totality, I think what people expect of the Yankees, right, is not necessarily, unfortunately, congruent with what the Yanks are going to be running out there. So yeah, there was a good show, and there was a fair show. I thought the responses were really good. And I say this as I set this up now, I'm going to jump into it. It's not to be negative, but when you see the Lindor hand injury the other day, and he's going to have surgery, and I don't think it's a massive deal. You know, the hamate bone, they get that little hook, and you got to shave that off, and in 6 weeks he'll be ready to play, you would imagine, big league games. Not let's rest for 6 weeks and then ramp up. He's going to rest for a week, and then he's going to get, you know, dry swings and progressively work his way up back to the baseball field. So I think Lindor will be fine, but you never know. And then obviously yesterday, and I'm not really worried about Cam Schlittler, but let's face it, you know, when you're in your mid-20s and you show up to training camp or spring training, and yeah, the first thing that hits the news wire is, well, Cam Schlittler's his back is a little creaky. Not exactly a fantastic way to start the spring. Now, I do think that the Yankees and the Mets are both playoff teams. I don't think either one is built to win a World Series. Who knows what the trade deadline brings? Who knows if Scooble's dealt? Who knows if a big bat's imported? Like, I can't incorporate 9,000 possibilities, right? So I'm going to incorporate and attack what we know. Now, again, not to be negative, right? But I want to throw a couple things at you here. So, you know, I'm going to start with the Yankees, right? Paint a worst case scenario for both of these teams, right? So, you know, I love Ben Rice. What if Ben Rice regresses? Like I've been saying now, I've saying it last year, and I'm certainly saying it this winter. I think Ben Rice should be batting third, or I think he should be batting fourth. I think Ben Rice is going to be a middle-of-the-order staple for the Yankees for a long time. I think he's that good. The numbers back it up. It passes the eye test. I'm a massive fan. All right, just be decent at first base. But again, based on today's theme, what if he regresses a bit? What if the Yankees trade Jazz Chisholm and it's like for a bullpen arm, or it's not necessarily for another second baseman? Who's playing second base? Now, this is a short-term thing to start, and Caballero, I'm just going to spin you around here, kind of keep it moving, because I have a lot that I want to get to. So Caballero is obviously going to be the opening day shortstop. I love him. I'm happy that he's on the team. He's got wheels. He's an energy guy. Can bounce around, a little third, a little outfield, a little short, a little second. And I think he's got good value. Caballeros, as the starting shortstop on a team with World Series aspirations, that does not meet my expectation, doesn't meet my standard there. So you got a little bit of an issue there. Now, everything good?
BT, check the shirt real quick. Check the shirt, Mike. I think
Here
I
we
got
go.
switched on the
I
intro.
got you. Oh, my God. Yep, it got switched. Thank you very much for popping that in. You man, I'll tell you, on the fly. Does that sound better? I think it should sound better, right? Should be good?
There we go.
Thank you, J-Rod. I appreciate that. See, that's why I got J-Rod here. Something's a little bit off. J-Rod pops in and lets me know what's going on. So, all right. So you heard what I said about Rice, but if I sounded like, I was lip syncing or I was off by a second, what if Rice regresses? What if the Yankees trade Jazz? Caballero at shortstop to start. All right, he's fine for a month. Then you're going to see the Volpe experience. And what does that bring back in return? I don't know. I don't know what that's going to look like, but I know going in on paper, the Caballeros and Volpe as a starting shortstop tandem or singularly, meshed and molded into one, not optimal. All right. What if Ryan McMahon stays the same, which I fully expect him to do? Maybe hit a couple more power, a little bit more power down the right field line. He's going to strike out a ton. He's going to be a great defensive fielder. Not going to hit for much average, so I don't think you get a ton at third base. And you get behind the plate. What if there's no real growth from Austin Wells? And I think he's going to be better. I heard what Boone said yesterday. He thinks he's going to be better. He was on base 28% of the time last year. Like, those are numbers that you can't fudge. Like, that's bad. He's a 212, 215 hitter. I know he's a good defensive catcher. I know that the pitchers like throwing to him. I know he frames the ball well. All the numbers back it up. I know he's got pop, and I like him. I still think he's got room for growth. But what if he doesn't? And then maybe one of the biggest variables here, and of course you throw Cam Schlittler into this. Again, I don't think it's a big deal, but God forbid what it is, because they are banking on Cam Schlittler to be healthy and to be ready for, to really help carry the mail along with Max Fried when you got Garrett Cole, Carlos Rodon, lesser extent, Clark Schmidt coming back from injury. So now listen, the chances of Cole, Rodon, and Schmidt and Schlittler like having real injury issues throughout the year are incredibly low. Like, that's beyond worst case. That is just laced with negativity where you just don't think the Yankees have a chance and you're pre-programmed to think the worst. I'm not. I'm just presenting possibilities as I spin you around the diamond here. Now, the other thing, too, like Bednar did a really, really good job last year. I love him. And, it was a good pickup. David Williams was awful in April, stabilized it. Bednar comes in at the deadline automatically, well, not all, but eventually, fairly soon, becomes the closer. Did a good job, slow heartbeat, good stuff, fit in New York. I'm not worried about him, right? So I'm not going to even present what if Bednar regresses? Bednar's fine. But what about the arms before him? Like, this Yankees bullpen has been, very fluid, as a lot of bullpens are throughout baseball, obviously. That's one of the trickiest markets to gauge. Like, how much is somebody worth? Luke Weaver, phenomenal 1 year, awful. Now he's a Met. Watch, you'll wind up probably, hopefully for the Mets, being pretty good. But you just don't know. You don't know. So while the Yankees have starting rotation issues based on injuries and the other things that we talked about, well, now there's an expectation that once you get the ball to Bednar, at least you got that on lock. But as you get it to Bednar, what about, sixth, seventh inning? I'm not saying there's no options. I'm not saying the Yankees won't figure it out. They generally do when it comes to the bullpen. But by chance, what if they don't? You've got some issues there. So to me, that would pretty much be worst case for the Yankees at the _Rod. Please come into players come into spring training and ramp up a little bit too quick and they get dinged up. Happens every year. Yeah, the one thing that I know, that's a good point. Like, it's funny, not that they get mocked, it was just a totally different generation, but you hear stories from back in the day, like Yogi Berra, I think, sold insurance, a bunch of guys. You see these old black and white photos during the offseason, whether it was Mickey Mantle before he made money relative to those days, cutting down trees and selling Christmas trees, or, doing not necessarily landscaping, but some blue collar labor, just to, throw a few more bucks on the table. And when they were doing that, they weren't really fixing. There was no gyms. I mean, so it's not like you're going to, some monstrosity of a 24-hour fitness club, which is basically in every town in America at this point. So their condition, they didn't look the same, but you know what? They didn't get hurt as much. And, I do think that, and this is almost a different topic. I don't want to get too deeply into this, but I do think it really matters. I think it permeates the youth sports level, more so baseball, where you've got a lot of kids playing, maybe you take off for Christmas, but right away, right after Christmas, you're ramping up, you're chasing max velo, trying to hit 60, trying to hit 70, trying to hit those benchmark barometers, 80 and eventually 90 as you get to high school. And when you do that, especially young joints and developing tendons and all that's and ligaments that are still growing, that is extra stress on the body that I think actually has an adverse impact on young athletes. It doesn't really apply the same to grown men who are professional athletes, but because that's their craft, but they really don't get a lot of time away. And I do think that was a pretty good text right there to start the show. Good job, because they lift, they throw, they run. They've got all these contraptions. I mean, the wacky, like, even my son doesn't really use it. I don't think it's incredibly effective, but I remember trying it like a year and a half or so ago. I'm not going to give the company's name because I'm not looking to diss anybody. But basically, it's like this big, like those blow-up beach balls that you have for the pool, and they're like pliable, and you just get them and they're flat. You blow them up, and then you knock it around the pool. Well, they've got this thing. It's a little more in-depth than that, but it's actually got a pump, and it's like a circular sphere kind of thing, and you fill it up with water. It goes up to like 30 pounds, and like you attach it to your back, and you swing with it. You could pitch with it, and the physics behind it. It's actually we just didn't love it, but I do think that it's actually pretty good for some people. Maybe he's too young. I don't know. I know a lot of the best colleges use it, and so the water's there. So it's not a weight. Well, it's weight, but it's not conventional weight. It's weight that is because it's water and it's fluid and it's moving all over the place. It's training your muscles to react to unexpected resistance. So if I've got, and it goes up to 30 pounds, as I said, if I've got like a 30-pound, whatever it's called, on my back, and I'm in the cage or I'm off the tee, well, as a lefty, as I explode here, the water's going to shift left to right. On my load, it's going to go left. When I follow through, it's going to slowly transfer to the right. And it's a very interesting concept. The point is, all people do is train. And, I know they look like Zeus, but you know what? Their bodies are more like Jane. It's how these guys break down. And I do think part of it is derived from the fact that they never give their muscles and their body a chance to regenerate. And that when they do go to camp, I'm not saying they're pushing 97, 98 in the first bullpen session, but they're not throwing 80. I can promise you that. So I do think the ramp up period, I think that there's something to be said for that. I'm with you. At DNY Cest. All right. Yankees lost their ace last year, still made the dance. It's the lineup that's an injury away, and we know who can't have that injury. Well, I mean, listen, let's not speak in code here, because the Yankees, at least relative to this next statement, are so poorly constructed without Aaron Judge. God forbid. I mean, baseball gods, take care of the man, please. But knock on wood, if Aaron Judge goes down, season's over. Much like it was back in 2023 when they won 83. Was that 2023? Yeah. When they won 83 games, he got hurt against the Dodgers, ran into the wall, still came back, hit 38 bombs. But, he missed a couple of months, missed a lot of time. And the Yankees were a good team, granted a flawed team, but a team that wasn't going to win the World Series again that year. But at least with the presence of the almighty Aaron Judge, they would have found their way to 92, 93 wins, make the playoffs, maybe get lucky, maybe play a bad Central team like they always seem to this year aside, advance, and then get knocked out by a better team. So, yeah, that goes without saying. And that's really one of my largest gripes with the way the Yankees are constructed. So I think I'm going to I gave you the Yankee stuff. I think right now, and I know what the odds say, projected win totals and World Series odds, Yankees at the second shortest. I know it all, right? I think what I really truly think is that the Yankees are probably about, without disaster, maybe one or two things going wrong, whatever, bullpen a little shaky, one of the pitchers taking longer to come back than we think. I think the Yankees are a pretty solid bet to be low 90s, not 94, 95 like some outlets have them. I think the Yankees are a 91, maybe a 92 win team with upside, which is appealing. Now, if some of these things go wrong, I'm here to tell you that the Yankees can very easily morph into an 85 win team, possibly a sub 85 win team. And if you're an 85 win team, you're pretty much not making it, even that last wild card. So there's some volatility here in terms of the high end ceiling for the Yankees versus, all right, well, what are they if they have a little misfortune? Well, I just told you, I don't think they're a playoff team, if that's the case. All right, let's get to the Mets here.
And again, this is all spawned in my mind from the Lindor announcement about the surgery. And I wasn't even really thinking this because I did the stuff on Lindor, and I do think he'll be fine. But then on top of it, Yankees' first full workout camp. I know what he said. I know what he tweeted. I know what Boone said. I know he's had this before. It's more muscular than structural, which is a very good thing. Muscles contract, they get tight, whatever. It's not like something ripped in there, God forbid. But again, not exactly a very favorable tone to the spring. Mets. All right. So what if Polanco is either not the hitter that they need him to be without Pete's power, not that he's going to hit 40, but he's got to provide some thump. And what if Polanco just doesn't transition to first base? Now, I think he'll hit, and I think he'll be a fine first baseman because he's a former shortstop. But again, what if? Got to see it come to fruition. What if Simeon's washed up? This one I'm not sure about. I like what the Mets did there, the way they flipped and got rid of McNeil and brought somebody in. Number one, it's a bit of a chemistry culture thing in that clubhouse. Things needed to change, as we know. Simeon's a great fielder. He's a World Series champion. I know he loves the game. I think he's going to be great for the clubhouse. I think he's got a lot of equity around the league, but can you still play? And I think he can. Excuse me. I think he can. But there's evidence of natural aging attrition these last couple of years. What if he is what he was a year ago for Texas? Well, that's not that good. All right, now you keep moving. Again, don't think it's a big issue, but what if Lindor's hand becomes a real issue? And I don't mean suddenly, oh my God, wow, Lindor's out 3 months. That's, God forbid, that would stun me. I don't expect that. I don't anticipate that at all. But one thing about the hamate, especially for top hand, where you want to roll that over, and that's how you kind of really hook the ball as a lefty. A little different, obviously, for him from the right side. But I do think there might be a serious downtick in power for Lindor. There's going to be, I think there's got to be an expectation that there's diminishment in power. And if there is, well, now there's several other variables around the diamond, and I'll get to it, where if they don't step up and supply some power, well, now there's going to be a dearth of power because now Pete's 40 bombs are gone. And, Lindor's always good for, 30-something. If that number were to drop to, again, fairly worst case scenario, 18, 19, the Mets profile looks a lot different, all right, from a power point of view. It just does, right? By the way, even if Lindor bangs 30, you can still make the case they're a bat short in terms of power, so they're dependent on some other variables. Next up, I'm not going to waste much time on this. I think Bichette's going to be, I think he's going to have his best season ever offensively. And what I would do myself, I don't know what the Mets are going to do. I would put him behind Juan Soto. I really would, because there's, the last thing you want, that's why Pete was so good last year. Listen, you want to be careful with Soto. This is baseball 101. He nibble a little bit. He's got a great eye, one of the best eyes of all time. Going to be on base all the time. You want a guy behind him, contact guy, which Bichette is, and Pete wasn't, but still, hell of a power hitter and a good player, Pete. And you want to be able to take advantage of that. And in terms of the clutch value, risks and high leverage situations and old playoff stats, Bichette's a beast. I'm not worried about, I wish the Yankees got him. I said that. I wish Bichette was here, righty stick, little grit, everything the Yankees need. They didn't do it. Mets did, good for the Mets. But what if he's kicking the ball around third base? And that might happen probably more with the arm than with the actual hands. I think he'll catch the ball fairly well. But the other thing, and I can't quantify this, I'm just throwing this out. It's February, conversation, whatever. What if he's so, wrapped up in his defensive performance that he carries it to the batter's box, which is not uncommon. Now, I know that they're pros, but not everybody compartmentalizes everything the same, and not every great, and Bichette's maybe a tick below great, but not every really good all-star caliber major league player has a clear mind and a perfect sense of navigating some choppy spots. So, the worst thing you would want is for him to boot a couple of balls early, throw it in the stand, short hop a couple, and Polanco doesn't pick them like Pete probably would. Well, now, all right, maybe he carries it in, to his at-bats, and maybe there's a diminishment there. Don't expect it, but again, just pushing this forward. All right, Alvarez. I mean, listen, are we done? Does the clock stop ticking yet on Alvarez being a great prospect? I don't see it. I know he's got power. I know he's got energy. I don't think he's in good shape. He's definitely not healthy in terms of, what he's presented so far as a pro. I mean, I hope he's healthy now, but every year he gets nicked up. The hand, the head, there's always something wrong with Alvarez. And think about this precipitous drop, how he's been viewed through baseball. Now, this is amazing to think about. At one point, not that long ago, he wasn't only the Mets' number one prospect, he was the number one prospect in baseball, in all the baseball, right? All the teams. And has even come remotely close to delivering that? The answer is no. So I don't think he needs to be a superstar because I don't think he ever will be, but he's got to play 125 games. I mean, maybe even more if he's hitting. You could DH him, get him off his knees a little bit, but that is a massive, massive question. It really is. Let's see here, at Niner Nation 81, not to worry about power because if Alvarez turns up, he's good for 25. I agree. He seems to have pretty easy power. And I'm not giving up on the young man. I've just got to react to what he's shown me on a night-to-night basis and on a season-to-season basis. When you are built, same with Dominguez, same with Lombard, probably more next year, same with all these prospects, Mauricio and Beatty and Vientos and all the other guys around the horn. Dude, when you get up and you get your chance, I don't give a rat's ass what the scouting report says. I don't care what you did at AAA Syracuse where the ball seems to fly out of the yard every time somebody goes down. Like Beatty or whomever, Vientos for a week or two. I put on Sports Night. I see him hit a home run every night. It's amazing. Now I know the pitching's not as good. The point is, it's go time for Alvarez. And if it doesn't happen, Mets have a big issue behind the plate. We know that. All right. Luis Robert. I like the pickup. I do. You bought fairly low, back-to-back bad seasons. All right. I know he's a hell of an outfielder. I know he can run. I was laughing, too. I saw Sal, I think it was on Sports Night, maybe Baseball Night in New York, where Sal, I saw the clip. I didn't see this particular show live. Sal's like, I don't care if he hits 190. Just go and play defense. Well, that's what Tyrone Taylor did last year. And everybody, including me and Sal and everybody, was screaming about how the Mets had the worst offensive center fielder in baseball. So, now, listen, I know even if he hits 212, Robert's going to hit more home runs than Taylor, steal more bases. I understand that. And I get his point, but I could promise you, having worked with Sal and knowing Sal, if Luis Roberts hitting a $193 and it's June, Sal's going to be shitting all over him. You can take that to the bank. I don't even care if the Mets have a really good record at that point. Like, you can't come in here and hit 194. You can't come and hit 203 and strike out 35% of the time. And I don't necessarily think he will. I think he's one of those guys that really just needed to get into a better culture. I mean, the White Sox, they are just morbid. Did you see, speaking of the White Sox, my God, did you see the clip going? There was multiple clips going around. I saw it 2 days ago, but it basically encompassed three different interviews or conversations. One was like the White Sox Fan Fest. One, I think, was on their in-house podcast. I don't even know what it was. Who cares? But there was three different things where their general manager is touting Acuna as, he can run. He's a hell of a fielder. He's a switch hitter. Dude, he's not a switch hitter. Can you imagine David Stearns or Brian Cashman touting a player that they just got and not even knowing what he does? So, like, when I tell you that they're like the White Sox, that's the land of the lost, man. So I understand the monotonous tone of now, you still got to be a pro and do your job, but the day-to-day rigors, going to the park, being there 9-10 hours, traveling. Yeah, I know you're in the Four Seasons. I know you're getting a couple of $100 just for meal money. I know. I know there's the groupies and there's all the stuff and all the trappings of being a player. I get it. But you still got to be a pro, man, no matter what the situation entails. And I think that Luis Robert just said, screw it. I'm just going to kind of coast a little bit. I think being around Soto and being around Lindor, being around Bichette, being around Simeon, I don't think he's going to hit 202. I think he'll resemble more, maybe not fully what we thought was an ascending star in Chicago, but certainly not the scrub that he was the last couple of years. I don't see that. At Joe Somebody, 407. What's up, Joe? At BT Unleashed, do you think players like Vientos and Alvarez might overdo it trying to be that guy since Alonso isn't there anymore? No. I mean, it's a decent question. I don't think so, because now if they were rookies that really didn't have any experience, I don't even like Vientos as an all-around player. Can't run, can't field, whatever. So he's just a hitter at his upside. But when you do what he did in the playoffs a couple of years ago against Philly, where he was pretty much their best hitter, I think that he's able to slow things down enough and not get wrapped up in that. If anything, I think it might be like on Bichette, but again, he's veteran enough certainly to, I would hope, process that. Maybe Soto expands the zone, but he's not. He's a machine. He's not expanding anything. Maybe Lindor a little bit. Like if the Mets are languishing offensively and they're a 500 team or 2 games above or 2 below, and the offense isn't cooking, everybody's calling up the station, everybody's banging on BT Unleashed, social media's on fire. Well, I don't know. I mean, maybe it gets so loud where it does kind of impact how they play the game a little bit. But when you're a star, when you're a really good player and you've got a proven track record, you not only do you have the requisite physical talents, but I think you've conquered the mental aspect, especially of baseball. I wouldn't worry about that. And I wouldn't worry about that with the young kids either. At Tav 1133, it's going to be a breath of fresh air not having to trot out Cookie and Stroman, God, early on in this season like we had to last year. Could potentially add 6-7 more wins than last year as well. Yeah, I get it. I think that that's part of it. And that's one of the reasons why the Yankees rotation, it's funny, I said this like 2 months ago, and now you start to hear it over, and no matter what show you watch, more on the TV than on the radio, over and over and over. Yankees have a chance to have the best rotation in baseball. Yankees, I took it a step further. The Yankees, I have a chance, hear me, I have a chance to have the best rotation this century in baseball. Now, just a quick sidestep on that, 30 seconds. Fried, year 1, phenomenal. I know we got rocked by Toronto. I'm not worried about Fried. Absolute certifiable stud, horse, ace, co-ace, whatever, monster, all-star, top 5, top 6 Cy Young beast, right? Obviously, the massive variable is Garrett Cole, and you just don't know until he gets out there. And I don't mean the first 7 or 8 starts. I'm talking about not even in totality. I don't care what his stats look like at the end of the year. I am much more concerned and fixated on, all right, when they get to, let's say he comes back June 1. I'll just throw out the date. June, figure it out in June, July, you start to flash a little bit, get some length, start to trust your arm. Secondary stuff is there. By mid-August, I would like to see him regenerate to the point of an approximation, 80-ish percent, 85% would be phenomenal of what Garrett Cole has been so far as a major league pitcher, which is a future Hall of Famer. And if he becomes that again, now you got Fried, you got him, and then you got, Schlittler, who's, again, he's got to be healthy, hence all these variables, who is going to be an absolute beast like McClain. You know how I view those 2 young pitchers. So, yes, and then obviously they've got some young arms. I do like Will Warren. Schmidt's coming back. Weathers was an interesting pickup. I like that Cashman did that. A lefty who throws 97, and you can tweak a couple things. Yeah, I think there's some upside there. At Mike Prince, 2036. Mike, what's going on? Question, do the Yankees play Spencer Jones this season or trade him at the deadline? I don't think there's any chance Spencer Jones makes the team. I mean, like 0.0. I don't even think if Spencer Jones comes out and hits like he's done before they sent him back down to minor league camp a year ago, like he could go Hensley Mullins, and hit 7 home, Butch Husky, and hit 7 home runs in the first, 25 or 30 at-bats he gets in the spring. I don't think he's making the team under any circumstance because he's not playing right, he's not playing center, not playing left. That's Judge, that's Grisham, and that's obviously Belly, who's back, thankfully. Now, I mean, how in the world do you even if Dominguez hit 112 in the spring and Jones hit 390, I mean, Dominguez is going to be on the team over Jones. I'm not so sure that Dominguez is going to make the team just on his own merit, which bothers me. I'm not going to get into that now, but no, this is about Spencer Jones. But he's behind the 3 starters, as we said, and he's obviously, for me, behind Jason Dominguez. So, no, I don't see it. And he just needs seasoning, and you can make the case if you want to, and I think the Yankees will, and it's going to bother me. It's going to bother me. Wow, we still believe in Jason. Jason's this and that. We saw a little bit of the ceiling, and we know his floor is high enough where he's a viable player. All the stuff they're going to feed you if they do send him down. And I think it's probably 60-40 that they do, which really is going to drive me nuts. But I think that they can justify that in their own mind by saying, well, he's only going to play once a week like he did most of the season last year. And we want him to develop, for he's still young, he's 22, cue the violin, all the same regurgitated stuff that Cashman's going to throw at us. I mean, you just know what he's going to say before he says it, He can run. He's got some blossoming power. We want him to tighten up the outfield skills. We want to get him more righty at bats. So I do think that is possible. All right, but Jones is not making this team. I think one of those two guys is going to have to get dealt, and I think it's going to be Jones. I really do. Remember, I'm going to read this in a second. Keep that up there, Jay. I talked to the Yankees about this. I talked to the Yankees about this a year ago, right? And I was asking explicitly about Spencer Jones. And I mean, the digging that I've done on Spencer Jones going back 2 years ago, it's astonishing. It will blow your mind. So the other day I was wearing Perfect Game sweatshirt, right? It's Perfect Game is the best youth sports umbrella in America. Lindor played there. You know, it was, I don't think it was quite really, it's more of a last 10-year thing, but any great player, you look at anybody, Corbin Carroll, any young stud from any roster, and you go to Perfect Game and you type in their name, and I promise they played. Pete played, Lindor played, they all played, right? So I remember I'm like, I got to go see what Spencer Jones was like. And it's really cool. I did this for Volpe. If you want to geek out, it's an awesome database because it shows the progression of, you know, how hard they threw through the years. Like you'll see that little spike chart. My son even has, he just turned 11. I mean, I don't get wrapped up in his numbers, but they're there if you want them. You know, for me, like, you know, how's he time out in the 40 against the rest of the kids in America playing Perfect Game? You know, infield velocity, outfield velocity, fastball on the mound, all that stuff, stats, all that stuff. And I went to Spencer Jones, and it said, you know, Vanderbilt logo, first round pick. But then there were scouting reports, right? And I love to do this. Is scouting Austin Wells? I remember reading his scouting report because the stats are the stats, and if you're in the pros, you crush Perfect Game. I mean, you did well. But I love the young scouting reports, like when they're in high school, you know, great student, committed to Vanderbilt or committed to Stanford or committed to Duke, whatever it might be, some good academics, Notre Dame. And it might be tough to sign. He's a great student. His parents want him to go to college. But then they also project the body. And the thing that jumped out, just to finish this up about Spencer, is that he also pitched a lot. He threw, I think he was up to 94 when he was going to Vandy, or 93, and then he even got higher at Vanderbilt. So the irony here, as I'm saying, I don't think there's any chance he's going to make the team. You know, he's much more equipped to play center field than Dominguez. I mean, Dominguez was billed as a center fielder. He's never going to play center field ever. I think Spencer Jones could handle center field. He runs like the wind. He's got a rocket, and he's got this beautiful lefty swing. Problem is, he strikes out 42% of the time. And if you're doing that in the minors, there's no way I could trust you in the majors. And, you know, just to finish the thought about the conversation I had about him about maybe a little more than a year now. And I was told, they're like, we just don't think he's going to hit the elite big stuff, you know, curves. He can catch up to a fastball, sure. But it's that other stuff, the sliders and the changeups and, you know, obviously curve, like really good curves. He's just got a little bit of, I don't know if it was a hole in the swing, but they did not have, this was also a little bit ago. Now, he still struck out a ton last year, so I don't know that really changed their organizational opinion. And to be fair, I had not spoken to them about this in the last year. So I'm not trying to misrepresent Spencer Jones, but he's a strikeout machine with tantalizing skill, and we've seen a million of those guys come through and not get it done. At Johnny Coker, I'll go with the hard C, 5268. All right, if we went position by position between the Mets and the Yankees, who do you think has the advantage? Leave that up there, Jay. I want to look. Mets have the advantage in left field. Mets have the advantage in left field. Well, I mean, not defensively, they don't. Soto's, I mean, of course, Soto's the superior hitter. I mean, Bellinger's a hell of a player. But, yeah, I mean, of course, the stick, I'll give you that. Third, that's not exactly a concession. I say, I'll give you that. Oh, wow, I'm going to give you Soto. No, it's Soto, but don't sleep on Belly. Let's not get nuts here. Third base, Bichette. Shortstop, Lindor, sure. Yankees have right field. Yankees have second base. Yep. Yankees have DH. Yeah, Mets never have a DH. It's insane. I think catcher, first base, and center field are a push. I think that's a pretty astute, fairly accurate assessment. Now, I do think Ben Rice is going to soar past anything the Mets put at first base, right? That's based on what I've seen, but also a projection, so it's not gospel, but I believe that. I mean, I'll take Austin Wells over Alvarez. I mean, he plays. At least he's healthy. And I know he's not a lazy catcher back there, which Alvarez sometimes is. And center field's a push. God, am I going to have to? You can get that off there, J-Rod. Thanks, but am I going to have to defend Grisham here, the guy who I didn't even want back for the $22 million qualifying offer? I mean, Robert's upside is he's a better defender than Grisham. Let's start with some basic components. Better defender. Who do I think has more home runs this year? I'd probably say Grisham, but it could be close. Who do I think has a higher average? I mean, I could be really close. They could both hit 230. They could both hit 230 with 30 home runs and a 790 OPS, right? I know that Grisham's was a bit higher a year ago. Yeah, I guess that's pushable enough. I guess I can get behind that. I can't go nuts. At Michael Margiota, 666664. God, how times have changed. The Steinbrenners are dollar. No, they're not. See that? Now, keep it up. I'm going to finish reading. You're wrong. They're not dollar store, tree shop, whatever it is, budget shoppers. They're not. They love a good bargain. Dude, they got the third highest payroll. You know, what are they going to be, 360? Coach Mike at Great Kills Little League here. Love this show. Mike, come on, man. Come on. Do you know baseball? You better know. I get the frustration. And I've been all over Hal, but I've been on Cashman the most here. Like, if you can't win with a $350 million budget, you got the wrong guy making out the budget and making those big budgetary decisions. Mike's a great guy. And shout out to Great Kill Staten Island Little League. The best food stand, the best concession stand that I've been to, and I've been everywhere. In New Jersey, in New York, I mean, been to Houston, been out to the Boom Bomb facility in Florida, which is great. In Great Kill, Staten Island. Number one, I love the fields. I love the old school energy. Love the people. Thank you for that, Mike. But you're dead wrong. I mean, you're going a little bit nuts here. But then again, I've been known to go a little bit nuts as well, a little excessive. And by the way, Mike, speaking of Great Kills, like, you're not alone in that thought, right? I can't tell you. And there's a point where I'm like, I just want to watch the game. I just want to watch my son play. And I don't mean dads that he plays with, because, they know the deal. They want to watch their kids. They're all, deeply involved in the sport. And I love meeting people, and I always have time for people. I think that's pretty obvious. Like, I'm not a phony. I'm not a fake. I'm not one guy on the air and then some dour, miserable soul off. Like, if I see you at the Garden, and many of you can validate this because it happens all the time, at the Garden, at Yankee Stadium, at Little League fields, always down to talk. If you want to take a picture, sure, which I love. I love it. It means the world to me. It really does. But that's probably the biggest gripe. And then I'm like, I got to get into the conversation. I got to give, like, in my mind, and some people just aren't built like this. That's just not me. You heard my dad the last day on the fan. I got this from my dad and my mom. Like, but if you care that much about me to come up and I don't mean, what's going on, BT? Like, I mean, which I appreciate as well. Like, big fan. Oh, what happened at the fan? Oh, you and Sal were great, dude. I love you on St. Like, really, if you're a real fan, especially if you've been a real fan for a while, going back to the days like Stephen A., whatever it might be, I'm going to give you some time. I'm not just going to have a cursory fluff conversation. Oh, thanks, dude. Where my head's already in a different conversation. I can't do that. I'm incapable of doing that. It's exhausting, but I enjoy it. And that's probably the most misrepresented theme, whether it's Great Kills or Jackson, New Jersey, or Boom Bomb, Florida. Dude, Yankees are cheap. All right. I can't. I should just laugh it off. I can't gloss over it because they're not cheap. They're just not as good at doing what they used to do. They don't draft as well. They don't develop as well. They don't go and get the best players. Now, it's not that they don't have offers on the table. The Yankees just aren't perceived the way they used to be. So really, how many big free agents really spurned the Yankees over the years? Greg Maddux is one. And I don't mean recently, because there's been a lot, starting with Soto. Maddux was one of the outliers early. Like, there was a point, Yankees getting everybody. Guys on their last legs, like Canseco, not that we wanted him, but Tim Raines, Chili Davis, David Justice. Now, some were traded for, I get it, but they loved it. Darryl, of course, Doc. I mean, they just fit in. They wanted to join the party. The Yankee party is not what it used to be, and everybody knows it. I mean, I'm not breaking news here when I say that. But no, they're not Dollar Tree, Mike. Stop. And by the way, the one thing that I do expect, because it's a long line at that concession, Can you get me to the front once in a while? I mean, that thing's 25 deep. I could go watch my sons at bat. What are you doing, man? All right. Hit Roberts. Okay, this is an interesting one for the Mets here, right? Again, possible worst case scenarios, which I don't think they can't all happen. First of all, I've already run through 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, about 12 worst case scenarios for both the Yankees and the Mets. If all 12 happen, they're going to be 71 win teams. They're going to be atrocious. We all know that that's not going to happen. Some might. And this very well might be at the top of the list of things that very well could happen. And if they do, you got a problem. What if nobody really claims right field for the Mets? Right? What if nobody does it? Like, it sounds great. Oh, yeah, Bench is going to play right field. Yeah, the Mets love him. Well, the Mets also love Vientos, and the Mets also love Mauricio, who I am not high on at all. I look at Mauricio. I don't like his swing. I think he misses curveballs by a mile. So I think his recognition is off. He's not a fast base runner. I don't see it with Mauricio. You know, I like Beatty, and Vientos could hit when he's locked in. But, you know, again, it's easy to espouse this in February. Mets love Carson Bench. And I know he is highly thought of. And I feel, based on other people from other teams, what they say about him, I feel pretty good that he's certainly going to make the team and that he won't stumble and shit all over himself and be a disaster. I think he's going to be a very good defensive player. He's going to run. He seems to be one of those grit guys, like a real high IQ baseball player. So I'm rooting for the young man. But again, as I present this today, Friday the 13th. Remember those movies? Oh my God. One of the great. Who's J-Rod, you a horror film fan or no?
Decent amount. Not like I guess I haven't been super entrenched in like the classics. I mean, obviously seen like The Shining, seen The Exorcist, seen The Ring was like what my dad used to always use to scare my brother and I. He'd toss it on and then we'd run upstairs.
The Ring was good. That was good.
But no, have not seen Friday the 13th in full yet.
Okay. Well, you got a little homework to do at some point. Not all of them, because I think it went up to like Jason meets Freddy in space. Like, I'm not even making that up. Can you Google that? Something Planet X just Google that real quick. But I'll give you a quick synopsis of, and then I'm going to give you the best trivia question in the history of trivia questions. All right. So here's the roadmap for every 1980s horror flick, right? Parents go away or they go out for the night. Boyfriend and girlfriend smoke a doob, get after it. You know what I'm saying? Get after it, do their thing. Somebody gets plunged in the heart with a knife, movie's over. And then, usually it's whether it's Jamie Lee Curtis or somebody else, like the babysitter or somebody else who escapes harm's way, thankfully, but her boyfriend's dead after they just did whatever they did and smoked a joint, some good music. And that's every 80s genre. Like, that's the 80s. That's the genre of the 80s, right? But Friday the 13th, and it got progressively worse and weirder. And like, I think the third one was in 3D, but I used to love them as a kid. Loved them, right? So at least who the killer was in Jason, right?
Yeah.
Or Friday the 13th. I just said it. So, okay. That was Jason Voorhees with the mask and all that. You ask anybody, even, and I don't mean like a devout encyclopedia type horror film fan, but you ask, oh yeah, I love horror film. Oh yeah? Who was the first killer in Friday the 13th? And they would say Jason. It was Jason's mom. It was actually Jason's mom in Friday the 13th. Absolutely. I'll tell you one, because it is Friday the 13th. And like the Halloweens were great. I'll tell you, and there was a point where I loved them, and then it got too freaky. And then, like, I became, much more of an adult, older, and certainly with kids, I can't watch that stuff anymore. I used to love it. I used to watch them all. I mean, you name it. American Werewolf in London, any 80s and into the 90s. Scream, sure. But the one that got me was Saw. Did you ever see Saw?
Can I tell you something a little? When I was like a kid, I loved those movies. Like middle school, early high school.
Yeah, that's
era.
where you like them. Yeah.
Those were like, I would just be sitting in study hall just with my phone out, just watching the Saw movie.
Are you serious?
100%. Yeah.
I don't know.
Like a freak.
Yeah, well, yeah, I'm sure. I don't know if any horror movies throw me for a loop like the first Saw.
Yeah,
And
because that one's actually has a good story.
it's got and then it's got more and more demonic and trying to get out of these crazy contraptions. I'm like, oh my God, I got my limits as to what I want to see a human go through. And I went from loving it to like, I can't watch it anymore. But that first Saw, when that dude gets up in the middle of the floor in the bathroom, when they're both chained, like handcuffed, whatever, and the guy cuts to get out of the chain, he cuts his ankle off, basically.
Yeah.
I mean, but the dude was there the whole movie. Like, you thought he was dead. There's a pool of blood.
And he's just
Gets
hiding.
up, cleans himself up. I'm like, that blew my mind.
It was such a good twist.
Wow. And then I forget the character's name, that little freakazoid with the monster nose and the half clown on the tricycle. What was that dude? Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Thank you. Jigsaw. I remember. So I'm living in Manhattan, and my ex-girlfriend's like, we got to watch this movie tonight. I'm like, yeah, okay. And I think we order in, we watch the movie, and it was Saw. I hadn't even really heard of it. Like, it was an early phenomenon. I didn't really know much about it. We watched it. I'm like, this is good. It's crazy, though. Anyway, I go back a couple of blocks away in Manhattan. So I would ride my bike all of Central Park, and we're on the Upper West Side. I ride my bike back to my apartment. And I was playing golf early the next day, right? And it's like midnight, maybe 1. And I live in at this point, a 4-story pre-war walk-up, right?
Oh, no.
I'm up to a pre-war, right?
Yeah.
And it is creaky, and the stairs are like just very ghoulish. Like, and what I just saw with Saw, I remember I had to carry my bike up, and I'm like, man, if I need my hands, I can't do it. I was terrified. Even when I got in the apartment, I was like looking behind the door. Dude, I was legitimately freaked out. You can't pay me to watch that stuff anymore. And I went from being like a devout consumer of horror films, devout, to not interested at all. No, thank you. Why would I want to see that now?
No, I mean, those movies it almost shifted from like true thriller horror to just like glorifying gory mess.
You nailed it. You nailed it.
You know,
right.
I mean, it's like, because the first one, it's still had a bit of a story, but then the second movie, it's just people jumping into like needle pits and like people getting their breasts ripped off by like a weird, I don't even know,
contraption.
Like, it just totally shifted the genre. Freaky, terrible.
There you go. There you go.
Someone had a funny comment.
Remember
in Sopranos, Cleaver?
Yeah, of course.
Saw meets Goodfellas.
Tony,
I think he's talking about you, Tony.
Little Carmine, they had the meeting and he messed up. Remember when the little Carmine, somebody texted that a week or so ago that came up when they, you had everybody, the investors, and it was so funny how Chrissy, like, actually thought, I mean, just think about I think like Chrissy to me is without a doubt, putting Tony aside, one of the 3 most important and the best characters by far. There's no doubt. But he was, and he was anything but corny because he was always involved. Like, he was a ruthless killer, the drugs, the clubs, girlfriend, like everything was not to glorify. I don't mean it like that, but everything was cool. Like about Christopher, he just had that real cool, youthful at that point, gangster edge, mafia edge. But I remember the Cleaver hat. And I remember how, because he was a writer, he wanted to escape the life and he wanted to join Hollywood. Oh, that was actually a pretty good diversion to the main story there. Yeah, it really was. Hey, by the way, so I know we've got this light now. I've got to change this again, click by click, brick by brick. Get it up on the full screen there, J-Rod. Let me see the full screen. You liking it? Now imagine this guy right here and then that guy right there is eventually going to be rubbed out. So, and I was so disappointed, but I get it. Like, I'm not going to let it bother me. Jeez, just compared to how we started in my basement with no mic and basically horrendous Wi-Fi and the Mac computer microphone. Wow. And camera. Very happy with where we're at. So I don't know why I thought, what you still think that you have something and you're sure as hell that you have it. Like, I'm like, why would I have thrown? No, I didn't throw that out. So during COVID, as I mentioned at the top of the show, me and Teak were still doing national radio, and we were a TV simulcast. We had the TV component. So, they sent the cameras, and they sent all these lights and all this stuff. And they sent these, because I'm in my home office, the blackout shades for my 2 windows, right? And I could have sworn I still had them. Can't find them. Looked in every closet, looked in the garage. So after they came last night, and it took them a while to do this. So, and let me laugh too. I really laugh. You know, I don't really care what people think. I just don't. So I put a little picture on the channel here, on Instagram and on Twitter. Right now, Twitter is very different. I noticed that I get support on Twitter for sure, but Instagram is much more uplifting. Twitter is much more demeaning. I know the game. Again, I don't care. And then YouTube, obviously, almost everybody here is a fan and helping elevate the channel, right? So I put this picture out there. And when I tell you, and it's still up there, I had it like in quadrants, one of those apps with the pick profile, whatever. And it was 4 different stages of them coming to do the back wall. You know how many people are like, dude, you need 2 guys there to hang a poster? Like, what are you? I was going to actually write back and just go off. That was the first time I was tempted because it was so stupid. Do you think, first of all, I worked construction in college. Do you think that I can't hang a poster, you idiot? Do you really think that? Is that what you think? No, it's not a poster, you clown. What it is a custom-made vinyl adhesive that they had to basically blowtorch with heat to seal it properly so there'd be no bubbles. Is that the explanation that you wanted? I almost gave it to him. Like, you know what? I had some stuff written. Now, what are you doing? This is like, talk about regressing. I'm like, I haven't done that in a long time. You want to throw a punch with it, verbal punch, not have fun. I just deleted it. I said, screw this. I'm not getting involved. But yeah, I do have to fix the light, which we will. Can't wait. Now that this is up, the guests will start rolling in. Now I've got to start working on that. And the other thing, before I get back to the baseball, I got something on the Knicks. We'll do a little longer today. Yesterday was short. I left a few things on the table. I love what the Knicks did with getting a big man here. We'll talk about that. I got a little something on the Jets quarterback spot as well. I'll start to wrap up the baseball in a moment. So the other thing about the channel, first the mic, the camera, the studio, the background, the blah, 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 all that stuff. Get the subs up, which we still need to do, and we are. Want to have 20,000 by the end of the month. And they get sponsorships, which we did. We unveiled Sullivan Papane on Wednesday, the Johnny's Report. They'll do that for the rest of the season. They signed on for all the 2026, which I'm incredibly grateful for. Massive leap of faith. We've got others that want to join this movement. They are really, business is business. It takes a while, but there are people who want in on this. Big people. There's a conversation that we had that I know is going to happen. I can't divulge the company. When it happens, it's going to blow your mind what this is. It's not hyperbole. I don't need to do this. Trust me. It is phenomenal, and it's one of the biggest companies that you can imagine, and it's going to be great. I am so excited about that. So that's coming. And now the next thing that's coming is merch, all right? So, and that's new to me, all right, I'm going to sell merch for sure, BT Unleashed. And I know conceptually what I want to do. You guys always talk about the mugs and the different mugs I have. So obviously BT Unleashed mugs will be front and center. We'll get the hoodies. That's a given. Couple of different colors. Get the beanies. That's a given. Couple of different colors. I'm even thinking maybe some golf towels. Have a bunch of stuff. A couple of golf t-shirts and golf shirts. But where we're at now with that, as we start to, this is probably, if there's 5 stages to getting the online store open, quite candidly, we're probably at step 1.5. Like, we still have things to do because we have to settle on the supplier, number one. But it's gonna. I'm so excited about this, and I posted last night on the YouTube channel. If you look at the top, live and shorts and videos. If you go to posts, I encourage you guys to drop comments like, what kind of merch do you want? Stickers, like, what am I missing here? Again, hoodies, beanies, given. There's certain staples that are t-shirts. That's definitely going to happen. And I'm going to even have some expressions, stop walking around work like a loser, jamming up the A-gap, some things from back in the day. So that's when that's going to come. I don't know for sure. Do I think it's 3 months? No, not even close. Do I think it's 2? No. I would think that we would certainly be up and running before that. Maybe a good target date would be around opening day, maybe a little bit more than a month. We've got the concepts. We've got the artwork, obviously. We know what we want to make. We're down to 2 suppliers there, and we'll go from there. But that's pretty exciting, and hopefully you guys will, jump in and have a little fun with that. All right, let me wrap up the baseball stuff here. Possible worst cases for the Mets and the Yankees. Talked about Roberts. What if nobody claims right field? Okay, again, I'm interested in Benj, but again, he's a prospect, and he's done nothing at the major league level, so I want to see who he is before I sit here and I say, yeah, Benj is the right fielder. He might be, and he probably will be on opening day. Does he keep the job? I hope he does. What if McLean, similar to Schlittler, Schlittler right now is more health-based in terms of fear with the back. Not real fear, but you know what I mean. But I do think it applies for both of these young players, pitchers, because I'm sitting here saying that their trajectory is multiple Cy Youngs. That's how good their stuff is. Now, the chances of both guys winning more than one Cy Young is infinitesimal. I mean, the chances of one of the two winning a Cy Young, pretty good. Both, lowers a bit. But I just say that, not to put this bold declaration on their doorstep and put pressure, but that's how good their stuff plays. That's how well it plays. But what if McLean stagnates a little bit? League figures him out, a little bit of a bumpy road. Just saying. I mean, it could happen. And then just to wrap it up, what if Mania fails to bounce back? That's a big one. And what if Devin Williams struggles? And I don't think that Devin Williams will, but I know he's not going to be as good as Diaz, that's for sure, because really nobody is in baseball. And if he gets off to a rough start in April like he did in the Bronx, he's going to hear it, man. I mean, if he flushes a couple leads down the chute early. Now, the good thing is he's shown the fortitude to be able to bounce back and kind of restabilize his season. So most guys would have cracked. You have an ERA of 6 change in April. And the Yankee fans are all over you. You've got some mettle. You've got some fortitude and some will and the ability to block out the distractions and focus on your job. So I believe he'll be really good. But if there's a stumble, it could be interesting. How about Ryan Torres, 30-71? Backdrop looks sweet, BT. Do you think the Mets and the Yankees? Yeah, let me know about the backdrop too. Again, guys, ignore the lights. That's going to be gone. But how do you like the actual logo here? I might even have some fingerprints on it that I have to clean up as I look at it. Anyway, should the Mets or Yanks take a flyer on Castellanos? 33 years old. I think he's 34. Could still swing it now. Motivated. No, I have no interest in him. I know it's a topic. I know you need a right. First of all, it makes no sense for the Yankees. Zero. You got a right fielder. It makes a little more sense for the Mets. And if you want to lean into he's got an axe to grind against Philly, and he has had a couple of good years. I just think he's washed up, man. I think he's washed up, and I think he's a little disinterested. When you bring a beer, think about the balls that it takes in 20, it's not Jim Leland, banging a Marlboro in the tunnel or even on the dugout with Keith Hernandez, like in the 80s. This is 2025. The guy brings an El Presidente into the dugout. Which, by the way, El Presidente, phenomenal. First time I ever had, and I haven't had many since. I went to the Dominican Republic, Santo Domingo, my sophomore year in college for I hate to say like an all-star team. You sound like such a jerk, but it was like a compilation of college players, whatever. And I think the drinking age was 19. I think it was there. It might still be. And, you want to talk about the El Presidentes in the green bottle flowing at the pool? Oh, because we didn't play every day. We probably had 7 or 8 games, played their national team. It was an amazing experience. God, playing baseball in the DR was, number one, it was amazing competition. Number two, just to feel the energy, awesome. But the amount of Presidentes consumed as a college student player, we may have had 100 over the course of a couple of days. I remember playing volleyball in the pool. It was absolutely sick. T-shirt, 3-point bombage. That is from Brian, New York, 2220. Yeah, I do attach the AGE. It's got a little heatage or a little bombage. I've been known to do that. Yeah, maybe we could play off that. Maybe. By the way, did you guys see that? J-Rod, did you see the Instagram video that I posted yesterday of your boy BT getting buckets at St. John's?
Are you kidding me?
Not bad,
It was like Curry out there.
No editing.
No, the 7.
No editing. None.
So my question was, did you take an 8th jump shot and then cut that missed shot out? No. Okay.
God, no. No, and I'll tell you exactly. Here's what happened. Now, first of all, again, you get most people dude, good form, and I know I could shoot, I could throw, and I could shoot forever. God willing, but I just can't run. That's it. Once I rupture my Achilles and, whatever, the days of even trying to run are over. But catching the ground or throwing with some juice or shooting, no doubt. So what happened was I interview Rick, obviously, and the show's on MSG every Friday, every Saturday. It's called the Red Storm Report. I've done it forever. Did it with Norm Roberts. Did it with, Steve Lavin. Did it with Mully. Did it with Mike. I've done it a long time. My God. Anyway. I was supposed to interview Rick at 1:30, but I was supposed to interview, which I did, and I was going to interview Ozzie Sellers, their 2-guard, at like 12, right? Because it's a magazine style show. And I don't know, you've probably never seen it. You guys should check it. I don't think you've seen it, Jay, but St. John's fans certainly know what I'm talking about. And it starts out like, me with an intro, different parts of the arena, different parts of the campus. And then the main highlight is my sit down, about 10 minutes with Rick, and Rick's phenomenal, holds nothing back. Yeah, I could sit there all day with Rick. And what I did with Ozzie, listen, we kind of stole it a little bit from Jay Billis. You know, when you walk the 94 feet, you mic'd up and you kind of walk in slow.
Yeah.
And you hit them with, okay, so we did that. So they had Adidas is now, even I think this is Nike. Yeah, St. John's got to get me some new Adidas gear. That's on you, not me. They were at Nike for a long time. So they had an Adidas ball, and there was only one because they weren't practicing until later. And the Carnesec Arena was empty because we're shooting, right? So they had one ball that's a prop, and it was a little deflated. Admittedly, it was a little deflated. So I maybe got a couple of good bounces. Not every 7 were swishes, right? But because I had the time restraints here, and so basically I was shooting that before Ozzie came over, was mic'd up, and they were. If you look right before I take that last one, the 7th one, I look to my left because the door into Carnesec Arena, the production crew was like, "Hey, he's coming. We gotta be ready." I'm like, "I got you. I shot one more. I just shut it off. I swear to God. Now I may have missed the next one. So you
cashed all of them.
That's right. That's
there
right.
We go.
Pure, baby. Pure.
7
I could shoot the shit out of it, man. I could shoot. Didn't elevate much. Didn't get off the ground much, but man, I could flick it. Always.
There we go. Because that's always been mine, is strictly mid-range. I'm like Sean Livingston, 2016.
The Warriors action.
Yeah, just a strict mid-range jumper. Every other element of my game.
Let me see. Hold on. The first glance, the form. Oh, he could shoot. You could just tell right away. He could shoot. He could shoot.
We go.
You could shoot. It's like when somebody throws a baseball, they're like, if they're like, yeah, put me on the full screen for a sec. Like put me on the full there. Like if they're like tight armed, they're like, this guy never played baseball. Jeez, what are we doing? And then you could just see somebody who never shot or who can't throw a spiral. I don't understand. Like there were 9,000 levels for me to get to before I would have actually made the majors, meaning I had to be a whole hell of a lot better to make the majors. But how can a man not throw a spiral? How could you not take a football?
Did you see the Ryan Gosling video?
No.
Oh my gosh.
Good or bad?
You're going to be heated.
It's terrible.
It's like for the promotion of his new movie, he's a football player, and they AI'd the trajectory of the ball because he throws it no spiral at all. His hands on like the back of the football, and he kind of does the throw where you kind of swipe it, and the ball goes 200 yards maybe, and it's just like the most. I mean, maybe it's kind of a joke, but it was like absurd.
So it's like Superman when Superman punted the ball on the farm.
Exactly.
Listen, as much I'm sure it's pathetic, but let's face it. I mean, Ryan's doing all right for himself. Bank account's good looking dude, star, probably had a lot of fun along the years. So that's one guy or like that I'll give a pass to. But I don't know if you're just a normal dude who grew up. I mean, I'm just going to use anywhere, but like Brooklyn, Queens, Staten Island, Long Island, Jersey, like Philly. I mean, anywhere. I'm just kind of hitting easy. How could you not throw a football, man?
Yeah, no.
Where's the self-respect? I mean, I don't understand.
It's gone. It's gone. I mean, it's just like you didn't play catch once. You didn't do one PE unit where they said, "All right, put your ring finger and your pinky right here."
Yeah, get it up top there. You got to come down like the lampshade. Yeah, I mean, it's pitiful. And same thing. How could you not shoot a hoop? I understand baseball is more specialization, and like baseball is the sport that. Like, you don't just play pickup baseball. You know what I mean? Like, we would when we were younger in the street and all that stuff. But you're not going to, we got 18 kids, 9 on 9. That didn't exist. It actually did. I was going to say that didn't exist in the 50s, but it actually did. But, like, I don't care how shitty you are in basketball. At some point, somebody on the street has a hoop. And at some point, you take some shots. And at some point, Santa's brought a football, a Nerf. I mean, God, what did you do as a kid?
No, I mean, maybe it's also a thing with my generation where there are probably a lot of kids who never really, threw a spiral or shot a basketball. I mean, they were probably just, gaming, doing whatever. Wild time.
I'm sure. All right, so that's the possible worst case scenario for the Yankees and the Mets. Now, that's just to present you in this alternate universe. What would happen if many of these, what would be the end result if those things happen, or some of them do? There's no way all of them are going to happen. But I just do that, certainly not to be negative. That's not how I'm wired. I think you guys know that. But I do think that there are maybe more variables than the Yankee and the Met fan kind of thinks. Not that either fan base is like, it's our World Series. Everybody's already, and they should be, genuflecting to the Dodgers. I think most sensible Yankee fans should say, hey, Toronto punked us. We know they lost Bichette, but they got some pitching. The division runs through Toronto. Red Sox have some sick frontline pitching. I'm not going to run through every team, but I think both fan bases kind of expect the playoffs, but just understand it's a long season. Hey, ask the Braves. Ask the Braves from last year. I don't even know where they were on the list for World Series odds for 2025. But Acuna played. I mean, he's always hurt, but he played like 80-something games. Austin Riley had an abdominal issue, missed a couple of months. Albies got hurt. He missed a lot of time. Their center fielder forgot how to hit the first 3 or 4 months of the year. Chris Sale was banged up. So you just don't know, and you shouldn't take it for granted. You know, both teams have a chance to be good. I don't think either team has a chance to be a champion unless you make some more moves here, but we'll see. All right. Very quickly on the New York Knicks. By the way, you can just keep banging in those texts there, J-Rod. Doing a good job with that today. All right. Very good job with that. So how do you not love Jeremy Sohan and the pickup of this versatile former lottery pick, 9th overall play? I remember watching him at Baylor. I'm like, wow, I kind of like him. He's got a good body, 6'8", 6'9", 230, 235. Can guard the 1, could guard the 2, could guard the 3, could guard the 4, could mess around and guard a 5 since there's no real, conventional, outside of maybe even Jokic shoots a ton of J's, but there's not that low post 80s, 90s big man like Shaq. So you can even do small ball with him, and he could be your 5 from an offensive point of view. I love this move. I really do. And I've said, how do you trust the Knicks? Like when they lost the other night at the guard to the Pacers, I'm like, how do you really trust this team? And a lot of you said, well, they were looking ahead. All right, I get that. I don't want to put too much emphasis on the regular season, but they have not looked good against the Pistons. They got whacked that Friday night. They lost by 38 without Cat. I got it. I know the other night they didn't have OG. I know Deuce is out, but my issue with the other night was once they got to overtime, like that should have been the reprieve that they needed. Like, all right, let's stop fucking around here. Let these guys hang around forever. Let's go out there and let's handle business and let's make some shots and let's get some stops. More importantly, that will lead to making some shots. Instead, they give up the first 9 points in overtime. They lose. And it bothered me. Maybe it didn't bother you, but it bothered me because I think it's emblematic of, I don't even know what it's emblematic, killer instinct or dog, like enough dogs on the team or just kind of a little coasting during the regular. I don't really know. I can't pinpoint it. But Leon Rose in the last 7 days has brought in a pit bull point guard who is like the modern Starks, who everybody is gonna love. We already love him, love him. And a New York kid. Rick Pitino said Dylan Darling's got, balls the size of church bells. So does Alvarado. So the other night when Mitchell Robinson was on the floor, who wanted the most smoke? He did. Love it. And now you get this kid, Jeremy Sohan, and it's just a really good, astute move. Now, it's going to take a little while, and there's going to be some feathers that are ruffled here, but you cannot tell me, I believe, that when the playoffs start, that certainly Alvarado and this young man, that they're not in the rotation. And I mean like night to night, whether it's 11 minutes or 12 to 15 minutes, depending on foul issues, if it's a Cat or if Godfrey Mitchell Robinson's banged up or you don't want him on the floor late. Not a great free throw shooter, about 70%. He'll take some threes. Not really his game, 30%, but he's not 12%. But he defends with intelligence. He defends with purpose and vigor. He's perfect for the Knicks. I love what Leon Rose has done. And I would like to get to a point where I'm sitting in this studio. Granted, the lights aren't reflecting off the wall in a month or two, or they won't be reflecting off the wall on Monday. But I just say that to, make a point where I'm in here and I'm saying, man, I feel like the Knicks are going to win the championship. I'm not just going to jump, from opinion to opinion. And it's not a hot take. If you remember the day before, of course we called heat for it. The day before the regular season opened with the Knicks, I remember saying to Sal, like, this is not a championship team. Now, he was against the Tom Thibodeau move. I was for it. We'll find out exactly how it shakes out when it's all said and done. Was it an upgrade? They've got about the same record at this point. I think it was maybe +1 or two Tibbs' way. But a lot of the stats, whether it's corner threes attempted, rebounds, free throw attempts, passes, they average about 35 to 40 more passes per game than Tom Thibodeau. The stagnation, obviously, with the rotation. There's a lot of things about Mike Brown that I like, and there's a couple things that I don't. Like hugging Draymond Green was the ultimate sign of weakness. I mean, that would have driven me nuts if I'm Cat, or even if I'm just on the team. And I know it bothered some Knicks, but you can now at least look at this roster and say, all right, okay, you've got, and even somebody like Clarkson, who might be one of these playoff wild cards. It wouldn't surprise me. I know his minutes have diminished. I get that, but it wouldn't surprise me if somebody like Clarkson has a game on the road, or home. It doesn't matter, but pops in 18, 19, gets hot from downtown, and he has a night, and he helps carry the Knicks to a win. Maybe if Brunson's off or Cat's off or whatever it might be, OG's off, Bridges, whatever the circumstance might be. I think, this is basic stuff. The more good players you have, obviously, the better off you are. But even much more specific than that, the more like-minded, intense, high IQ, prideful players that you have, the better. And one of my knocks on the Knicks is they didn't have enough of those guys, especially with Deuce out, because he was one of those guys. And, Cat floats, I'm not a huge fan. Brunson's a killer, but he's starting to do that ISO thing again. Bad defender. Hart's definitely that kind of guy. I think that Diawara strikes me as somebody who's that guy. Just a really good 7 days here. And I was telling you guys about the buyout market. I remember saying this a month. I'm like, hey, somebody's going to shake free. 10 teams wanted him. 10 teams wanted Jeremy Sohan. So that's really good, because it tells me, number one, he wants a piece of New York. So it seems like he's going to be wired for it. And again, he's a little bit of a loose wire, to be redundant. He's got the wacky hair. Good. You need some personality. The Knicks are pretty bland. It's the other thing that bothers me. They're just a pretty bland group. Bridges doesn't say a word. OG doesn't say a word. And especially when Josh Hart's out, when he misses time, they are incredibly vanilla. I want somebody in there that's going to let it rip in the huddle. I want somebody in there that's going to get in somebody's face when one of their teammates gets fouled or hit a three. And, I don't know if they're going to do that in their face, but whatever they're going to do in their face, look to the bench, do one of those like Alvarado did the other day. I want that, because that is an energy that is palpable and that is transferable to the rest of the roster. And you could have good players and button-up players, and they do have good players even before these moves. Obviously, they're one of the better teams in the NBA. But, I needed some jagged edges. I think you need it in a baseball clubhouse. I think you need it certainly on the football field, specifically on the defensive side or an offensive lineman, just that nasty, mean dirtbag that other teams hate, and you hated him when you were playing against him, but now he's one of you and you love him. That's what the Knicks just got, both of these guys. So really, really astute move there. Yeah, 6'9", 6'8", depending, 6'8", 6'9". It's combo forward, and he can absolutely when you're talking about now, and this is the modern NBA, when you're talking about switches, right, and the ability for Johan to step out, whether it's a pick and roll or just a conventional switch, whatever it might be, boom, I got the lead guard. Now, not that the guard's not going to be able to get by him here and there, but that length, whether it's a pass, whether it's a shot, a step back, it just it kind of throws a little 2 to 3 second curveball into an offensive set. And if you do that, because OG could play D as well, Hart could play D, Alvarado's going to be an absolute pest. So the more guys that you have, even if you don't overtly steal the ball, right? But the worst defenses are the ones where if there's no resistance, I got 24 seconds to shoot, walk the ball up, bang, pass here, bang, pass here. All right, reroute the ball, pump fake, I'm here. Guys wide open, lob at the rim, wide open three because you overreact and you over pursue, and there's a guy wide open in the corner. They've now got, I'm going to think about this more over the weekend, what I think their best defensive rotation could be. And it's also matchup specific, which I like. It's, it's not like, it's not quite like a lefty-lefty matchup in baseball where you want to play the numbers, but they now have Mike Brown, and he's got, unlike Tom Thibodeau, the willingness to do unconventional things and to try stuff and to combat how the Pistons play, how certain types of teams play. Really strong move there. I'm excited, man. I know I feel like I've hit a lot of you with some negative Nick energy, but I'm just going to keep it real. And I'm not changing my tune yet. I still don't think they're a championship team, but they're a lot closer to it than they've been, in my opinion, all year. And I am excited to see what these guys could become. Really, really excited. Omar, what's up, man? I think a small ball lineup with OG and Sohan at the 4-5 and have a switch everything defense. Yeah, can be a really interesting wrinkle. Yeah, I'm going to do more of that later in the week. You're not wrong. I mean, now you throw Josh Hart out there. You have Bridges out there. You could just do a lot of different things. Alvarado Pester in 94 feet. I mean, I'll do it quick. I don't even know if this is my ultimate answer, but let's go Alvarado at the point. You know, you want to have maybe if you want to go, let's see, you want to go, just thinking out loud. Let's say Brunson's on the bench, right? And you go Alvarado, Bridges at the 2, or even Hart at the 2, either or. Bridges at 1 forward, OG, and Sohan. I mean, that is a hell of a defensive lineup. And then what you could even do, if you want to go a little bit bigger, like say you're playing the Pistons, a little more, brawn and muscle, you go Mitch at the 5 in whatever 3, 4, 5 minute spurt that you want. Mitch at the 5. We'll go Sohan at the 4. We could go OG and we can go OG and Bridges on the wing, and you could have Hart there as well, or Alvarado. And you can have Alvarado or Hart, or even if Bridges bring the ball up, which he did sometimes in the playoffs a year ago, and sometimes during the regular season. Options are good, but if they're not interesting options, like if they're not options that are going to change the bottom line, it's just it's strength in numbers. But this is strength in numbers and strength in quality. So, yep, I'm pumped up. J-Rod, you like what they did?
Oh, big time. I mean, first off, we've talked about it. Love the Alvarado move. Sochan, all right, here's my thing with Sochan. Do I think he's the best offensive player? Absolutely not. He's probably one of you've seen the one-handed free throw. It's
but he's not shooting. Hold on. Now. I agree. It's an ugly-looking form, but he's not Chris Dudley or Mitchell Robinson. He's about 69%.
No, yeah, he can hit him. He can hit him.
Okay, all right, okay.
I'll give him his respect there. But, yeah, I mean, to get a dude like that for free, bring some spunk. I think he brings a good, fun, young energy. Like you're saying, a lot of the Knicks are very stoic, very stone-faced. I mean, Brunson, he's the guy of being like a stoic NBA player. Yep. And so I think Sochan, he comes in, makes it a little fun, makes it a little grittier as well. Love the play. Love the
There
move.
you go. And by the way, BT Unleashed fan, did you see when I said, J-Rod, you like the move? Do you see how quick he jumped into the NBA talk? This guy loves basketball. We're going to have some fun during the playoffs, bro.
Time. Oh, my gosh. If there's a Celtics-Knicks series, we're going at it.
There's no doubt. That's your favorite sport, right? NBA?
Yeah, NBA by far. I mean, all started as a young man playing NBA 2K, and then it blossomed from there.
We used to play, I get it. We used to play, obviously, EA Sports in the game. We used to play that.
Sir.
Oh, man. And so it was NBA Live, 94. This is, I'm in college. I think I was maybe a sophomore. And we used to play for money. We used to play Tiger Woods golf with EA, like $1 a hole. Basically just pass time before baseball practice, maybe skip a class here and there, whatever. But we would play all the time because I lived with a couple of guys on my team in this it doesn't matter. But we were on campus this year. A couple of other times we were off campus, but this year we're on campus when we really started playing the game. So we do $1 a hole with golf, and my buddies. And when I'm telling, when one of us lost, there'd be a fucking a bottle of dip because a lot of us dip back, slam against the wall, punches through the it was ridiculous. I tell you. It was insane. And I remember, and they couldn't stop it. And I don't know if anybody else remembers this. I was always the Knicks, obviously, right? And I found the glitch in the game where I would have Patrick Ewing, run to the far. So if you're looking at the screen, the upper right-hand corner, like in front of the bench, going out of bounds, right where the baseline meets the other boundary, right? Mm-hmm. Basically like a corner 3. But if you timed it perfect, and you had him release the ball as he was falling out of bounds, it was 100 out of 100.
Oh, going every time.
You couldn't stop it. So what? And I figured it out because what we would simulate seasons, right? Mm-hmm. So sometimes you would just kind of buzz through some games, and then when you play your buddy, you'd really play. All right, hey, we have practice, or I've got to go to this class, or I've got to go do this paper. I mean, I mess around. Of course, I went to class, but but sometimes you simulate games. But I figured out on my own where that particular move, and I was smart about it. I didn't do it against the computer. I didn't care because I wasn't playing the computer for money. I would save it, and I would only bust it out. Special, like I wouldn't come out of the opening tip. Oh, Ewing, 23 foot, 20 foot fall away, falling in the first row. I would save it for clutch moments, right?
Yep.
So that's when they'd get pit, and then it didn't dawn on them. I mean, Patrick never shot threes ever, even though he was a good jump shooting big man. Never, unless it was like the end of the quarter or something. And maybe Patrick made 5 threes in his life, if I had to take a guess, right? At least with the Knicks. And by the way, I want you to check that after 5 total threes by Patrick. I'm going to say 5 as you look that up. And when I would bust it out, I'm talking like 36 seconds to go. I'm up 1, trying to ice it. I'm down 2, trying to take the lead. Go right to that freaking spot, dude. I would just run, right? And I, falling out of bounds. It would go in literally. No bullshit.
Every time. I think I've seen like videos on that. Like it's like craziest glitches in gaming history or something.
Yeah, I like those.
Also, guess he made not a ton more threes than you thought, but a decent amount more. What do you think the number is?
16?
More, a little bit more. You're close,
really?
though. Yeah.
22?
All right, it's 19.
Wow, that is definitely more
19?
than I thought.
And for the Knicks specifically,
that's what I was going to ask you.
Over his entire
not Seattle,
career.
Not the Magic. Okay, so let me ask you this though: what was his percentage? I mean, it had to be what? 13%. Well, no, he probably didn't shoot that many.
Yeah, I mean, it was probably. Let's see.
Well, there's no probably. There's a website right in front of you.
15.2.
All right. Okay, good. Let me ask you this, Jay. What was the first go by year, not percentage, go by year? So his first year was 85. He won the Rookie of the Year. He missed about 23 games with a knee injury. And then Hubie Brown was coaching that team. And then Rick came and they started to shoot more threes with the bomb squad, et cetera. Go by the years. Just tell me how, like in 85, how many threes? 86, how many did he make?
So
just
his first 3 of his entire career was 89. But
so that's 85, 86. That's 5 years in. So I was on the right track. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah. And then he had some like 91, he had 1 3, 92, he had 1 3, and then 93, 94, 95. It gets interesting because 93, he had 4 threes. 95, 94, 95, he had 6 threes.
Wow.
And then 95, he had 4 threes again. 96, 2 threes. Never hit another 3 for the rest of his career.
Honestly, and I mean, I watched every game. I mean, there were a couple I missed when I was at school because I would have to go off campus to get MSG, whatever. When I didn't live off campus, I don't even know if I remember him. Well, the one in the playoffs. Do this real quick, and then I'll get back to the show. I want you to YouTube. First Google, but YouTube it. It's easier. YouTube Patrick Ewing 3-point shot in Boston versus Celtics playoffs. He hit a 3 from the corner that hit glass. You got to see this, and he's falling out of bounds. He's falling out of bounds.
Stark shirt circus shot. Give me like one moment. It's gonna take for some reason it's not.
Look it up. Just Ewing 3 Celtics playoffs. That's it. That's all you gotta have. It's gonna pop up there for you. Let me read this while we're waiting here. BT got to get J-Rod his own BT Unleashed background. Ooh.
No, I think that's a great idea. Even if it wasn't like the vinyl one, we could just kind of print out like a fabric sort of one.
That's true. Well, what do you mean we? I mean, who's going we? You're
going
to get stuck with the we. No. It would be me. I'm not going to leave you with it. But don't make it like we. Like that's my job. So we. You're not going to do anything. You're going to install it. You're going to pull it out.
Exactly. Put a couple hooks in it.
Yeah, that's a good idea, actually.
But yeah, do it almost like one of those college banners sort of deal, like one of those, $10 fabric ones. I think
we'll get a better one. Hold on, let me just finish the text here. It looks like he's in the elevator of your old apartment building. I wish my old apartment had an elevator. It didn't. That's the whole point. So when I saw the movie Saw, I had to walk up those monstrosity of stairs, 4 levels, pre-war, holding on to the bike, looking over my head with that little wacko on the tricycle, jigsaw. Like I actually thought he was going to pop out. It freaked me out, man. And we say that because today's Friday the 13th. Another scary movie. And I loved them. They got a little dumber as they went on. Were you into the Scream production there? Scream?
I haven't seen it yet. We were just talking about it just the other day. But yeah, I've got to see them.
To me, the scariest ones are the realest ones. And that's why, or potentially real. That's why like, to me, Saul was really jarring because unfortunately there are a lot of twisted people out there, scarily, sadly. Whereas, like, Friday the 13th, Jason walking around, he was drowned in a lake and he comes back. Come on, man. Or Michael Myers, you light him on fire. No, he just walks through it. He's got a mask on. Or Freddy Krueger, who's a burn victim who just only appears in your dreams. Like I'm not saying it wasn't scary in real time when I was young, but I'm talking about the real freaky stuff where you're like, man, there are some sinister people out there, sadistic people. And when the hell was her name? Jeez. Not Kelly Osbourne.
Carrie?
No, I remember that too. I remember Carrie. No, the actress Drew Barrymore.
Oh, okay.
She was in it, and she was at the. I remember. I just remember the opening scene, or one of the opening scenes. Would you like to play? Would you like to play a game? And basically he was giving her a chance to live. And hey, if you get this trivia question right, I'm pretty much not going to hurt you. And he's like, all right, let's start with an easy one. And she's terrified, obviously. And who's the killer in Friday the 13th, Part 1? And she's all obviously out of whack and skittish. She's like, Jason. Wrong. It was Jason's mom, right? And all of a sudden, that was the voice, like that real sinister voice.
Yeah.
And then I think I haven't seen it in a while. I think she said something like, where are you? And he says, and it's chilly now. She goes, or he says, check outside. Ooh.
Oh,
yeah, Biz. I'm good on that stuff for now. Did you find the shot yet from Patrick? Come on, dude.
To help J-Rod, it's play 5 on Ewing's top 10 on YouTube. Okay, so it wasn't showing up as an individual YouTube video, so I guess it's within.
Can you navigate this? Is this too much to ask of you, J-Rod, the
Ewing
young whippersnapper? I mean, if this guy can't
good.
find the shot on YouTube, we're gonna have to reassess the producer.
Yeah,
I'm gonna have to start getting on you like Sal gets on Bada Boom.
Those clips are hilarious.
Yeah, he seems like a good dude, Bada Boom. Yeah, it's a guy. I like the name too. I told you. I said this. I said this to Sal too. And I think I said this to you on the air. Maybe not. My goal is to, and obviously have you do this with me, for you to become so big that you and Sal and Bada Booms to become so big that you and Bada Booms do a show together at some point.
Yeah, I mean, I think it'd be so much fun. I did see the shot. That's why I kind of went like,
that's why I know.
And what's funny is it's kind of like that NBA Live corner kind of fade away, move and fade 100% of the time.
Yes, it is.
Whoa.
I wonder. That was 90. What year was that? 90. Hold on. That was, I think, McLeod. Was that Stu Jackson? Patino, 87, 88. That was either 89 or 90. What year was that? I think it was 89 or 90. And the game that I referenced, NBA Live, was 94. I wonder if they took that shot, because you couldn't really do it from the other baseline. It was that baseline at the top of the screen by the bench falling out of bounds.
Maybe they kind of like snuck in a little ode to the shot.
You know what I'm saying?
Who knows?
How sick is that? Now, you can barely see. It's really not decipherable that it hit the glass, but it hit the glass. It kind of
skims it, yeah.
Oh, it did. Crazy. Twisting, turnaround fade. He's got the knee pads on. See, that was young Pat. That was young Pat, where Pat looked like a gazelle, like he was still, like thin and fast and explosive. And then he was still really good. But then Pat started getting like the neck rolls, and he started getting a little thick. And he got older, like all of us there. Wild shot. I knew you liked that, dude. I knew it.
Crazy.
I knew it. All right, let me hit you with this. Get me back on the full screen there, J-Rod. Could you do that, please? Thank you. So, did you guys see what Chris Sims, who I love, said about Malik Willis yesterday? I think it was, where he called him a future superstar. Now, the draft content's going to be phenomenal on the show. Got a lot of things planned. Going to be awesome. So I'm not going to get like too deep into it now. This is more about Malik Willis. But obviously, when you talk about the Jets quarterback position, of course, 2 first-round picks this year. Do you take a flyer on Ty Simpson at some point? Do you wait till next year with the 3? Like, there's obviously draft stuff that needs to be sprinkled in when you talk about the future of the Jets quarterback spot. But this is the guy that I want. You know what? So, and not just because Chris said it. Now, it makes me feel good that Chris has that read. I'm not calling him a future superstar, but Chris knows his quarterbacks, man. And I worked for a full year or 2, maybe, on TV with Chris on Tops on CBS Sports Network back in the day. I don't know if you guys saw that, like with me and Shine and London Fletcher and Chris Sims and Amy Trask, former executive of the Raiders, first female executive in the NFL. Al Davis hired her. Great cast, right? And a lot of fun. Did it for like 7 years. And 2 of the years I did it with Chris. And God, he's just, it's no surprise. I mean, he played the quarterback position. His dad's Phil, who's another awesome dude and loves watching film and knows so much about the position. I know his son, Chris's son, Matt, does quarterback work with young quarterbacks because I reached out to, I know Phil a little bit. I'll definitely get Phil on. I reached out to Phil. So my son was 10 last year and plays quarterback and, still largely plays the position out of instinct, like, throws the ball like a baseball player, able to understand all the plays and be a leader. And he's got pretty good speed, so he can run a little bit. So, but, I'm thinking, all right, I mean, if we're going to really do this quarterback thing, we got to polish it up a little bit. I reached out to Phil. And so I know Matt, his son, was doing it. They do it together. And he's like, I sent him some video of him. He's like, yeah, he's like, he looks good. But he's like, how old is he? So this was last year. He just turned 10. And he's like, yeah, he's like, not that I wouldn't work with him once or twice for you. I would. But generally we go like more like 12. But the point is that the Sims family with the quarterback position, of course, they're not always going to be right. Nobody is, but phenomenal, just phenomenal. So when he says what he said about Malik Willis, I'm even more emboldened to say that's the guy that I want. You see, the problem is, right? So they obviously have to address the quarterback spot this year. Brady was awful. Fields going to be gone. All right, you want to keep Taylor as a backup, whatever. What I don't want, what they can't do, and I don't think they're going to do this. This would be wildly disappointing to me. And this would, at least for a moment on the surface, make me reconsider my early read on Muji as a GM. So Derek Carr wants to come back. All right, great. You can come back. I don't want you to come back on the Jets. Go play somewhere else. Don't need you. Don't want you. Don't need you. Not that he's not good. Derek Carr's a fine quarterback. He's, top 15, like you do a lot worse than Derek Carr. We know that. But the problem with bringing in somebody like Derek Carr is another Band-Aid. He didn't play last year. I think he's 34, something like that. So while it will be a nice upgrade and represent a little boost at the most important position in the sport, it might actually penalize you more than it's going to reward you because it's never going to be good enough to be a playoff team. But what it could do is win you a couple of games and get in that, 6, 7, 6, 7. Getting that every time I say that, I can't think about it. I don't even know what it means still, the 6-7 phenomenon. I just know everybody says 6-7 and they think it's funny. Thank God it's dying down. But yeah, I mean, if anybody knows what that means, please explain to me. J-Rod, if you know the whole 6-7 phenomenon, do you know what that is?
I've got no clue.
Yeah, I don't know what the hell it is. 6-7. I mean, are we talking inches? I don't know. What's the innuendo here? I really don't know. Either way, somebody like Derek Carr could give you a few too many wins that would then prevent you from truly addressing the quarterback position via the draft next year. All right. Arch and those guys. So what I would do, and again, the draft stuff's coming. Big things planned for the NFL draft. But to incorporate that a little bit, because it gets me to the quarterback spot for this year, what I would do if I'm the Jets, right? I would go full bore with Malik Willis. And I'm not saying that because Chris said, I go and find other shows here on Unleashed. I have talked about Malik Willis. Like I've talked about Mac Jones and the other, like you'd have to trade for Mac Jones. You could sign Willis and Jets have all the dead money because they got rid of all the quarterbacks, still paying Rodgers, all that. So I know the economics of it, and I know he's going to get paid a lot, right? But he could play. He could play. And Justin Fields was, a kind of an inefficient, I was going to say sloppy, an inefficient quarterback in Chicago, but a losing organization back then. But I was kind of excited because he had come from the Steelers and there was, a solid, stable organization and there was an incremental progress. Picks went down, touchdowns went up before he lost his job. His completion percentage went up a little bit. And there was evidence like, okay, maybe he's going to be, like a middle of the road quarterback throwing the ball with a real threat with his wheels. Whereas Malik Willis can sling it. Like the arm talent compared to Justin Fields, it's night and day. It is, Malik Willis 100 and Justin Fields a 0 or a 1. Like it's not even comparable. So I would be willing to do that. Matter of fact, I would be excited if they actually did that. And then I'll tell you who I think they're going to have to really fend off to get, because I don't think they're going to get him, unfortunately. I would go balls out for him. Full bore, that's the guy I want. And then what I would do at number 2 is I'm going defense, and they're going to go defense anyway, whether it's a linebacker from Ohio State. I don't think you would take – you're not going to take Caleb Downs, the safety from Ohio State, but you could maybe take your 16th pick, trade up, and maybe get him there. Either way, there's so many different machinations, and I love the draft, and it's going to be a blast doing it with you guys. But to me, I'm going defense. I don't know that they will. I would get the linebacker or the edge rusher at 2, and then whatever I don't get there, I would get at 16 or try to move up 11, 12, 13 and get a safety or a corner or the linebacker if you don't take him at 2, the kid Reese from Ohio State. So that's what I would do, all right? And then I would go wide receiver in round 2. So I'm not taking Ty Simpson, certainly not in the first round. All right, you want to mess around, trade back in round 2. There's so many things. Okay, I wouldn't be opposed to that. But to me, that's the way to go. And if the Jets were to open, again, they're not going to be an 11-win team. It's going to take time, man. But with that offensive line, all right, with a real upgraded quarterback, which Willis would be, and then you got an edge rusher and the linebacker, and there's a few of them that they could get, or the safety downs that you could get, and it's a very rich wide receivers class, so you could definitely get a receiver in number 2 in the second round. Now, they might take one of these stud wide receivers at 16. I wouldn't go nuts at that because then I know that they'll focus back on defense. They don't have to devote any real attention to the O-line. They've got to decide between Simpson and AVT. That's it, right? O-line set. You got your one receiver in Wilson. You got to get somebody opposite him. You've got your young tight end in Mason Taylor. You need defense, and you need a quarterback. So I would love to see them do that. I don't think they're going to get him. I think Miami's going to be a big mover. I think you have to worry about the Browns. I mean, you never know with the Raiders, but because Tom Brady's there, you'd have to think that the Raiders will stop being dumb. So they're taking Mendoza. I mean, is there a chance there's some crazy trade maybe with the Jets? I mean, I don't know. I guess if you entice somebody enough, they can flinch and they can make any move, even if it seems, a little reckless. Like Mendoza's the guy, but you just never know. But you have to assume that he's going to be taken first. And then the Jets got to go D. They have to. Their defense was awful. Now, listen, if they don't get Willis and they trade for Mac Jones, 3rd round pick or a 4th that becomes a 3rd with playing, I'm fine with that. That's fine for a stopgap. But what I can't have, because I could then see Mac Jones being around for a couple of years, then I could absolutely see Malik Willis being around for a couple of years, right? And there's more evidence that Malik Willis could be a star in the NFL than there's any evidence of any guy that you might draft next year, including Arch. Honestly, you just don't know. You really don't know. So I'm very curious how Moochie's going to play this, all right? He's got a lot of holes, all right? And he's got a lot of draft equity. That should add up to a lot of good players brought in. Not to mention the Jets have about $74 million in cap space, which I believe is 3rd overall in the NFL. Got a boatload of cash. So they'll buy a few. By the way, I would go with ABT over Simpson. I know he gets hurt a lot. I don't think you'll be able to get him on a 1-year deal. Like there's a thought, well, he's always hurt. Maybe he'll just – no, somebody's going to give him a 2 years, the 3rd year, whatever. That's just fungible stuff, whatever. But more of a guarantee than the Jets are probably going to want to do. But I would still strongly consider doing it. I like Simpson. He's gritty. He's a little sloppy. He's a little too overreactive for me. And to me, I actually thought that Simpson was the weak point on the O-line last year. Not to the point where there was this massive drop. Like, obviously Tippmann was good and Myers was good, and that position change worked out well. Olu Fashanu, stud. Membood, stud. I like that they're bringing back Ruckert as a backup tight end, good blocker. Taylor, vertical. Like, there's at least components. I understand we could all drown in our Jets' misery, obviously. I mean, come on, I could do 3 shows, but that's boring. So I'm the solution guy. I'm not the whining guy. It's not going to be me. I mean, I guess sometimes I'm going to whine. Although I don't even, I'm going to yell. I'm going to be pissed. I don't whine. That's one thing I'm not a whiner. I don't think. J-Rod, do I whine? I know I could explode. I don't think I whine.
No, I wouldn't say whine is the way I'd ever describe it. No. I'd say it's more of an explosion.
One that is calculated. You can't just
exactly
empty the chamber every day. You just can't cry wolf every time. You can't just say the same stuff every day. Yeah, and right now I'm sorry, go ahead, man.
No, you need a once or twice a week blow up.
That's what I'm saying. Oh yeah. Oh, that'll come. Don't worry, that'll definitely come. So I really do think that I was looking at some of the odds earlier today. So Miami's got the shortest odds. The Dolphins are plus 250 to get Malik Willis. The Jets actually had the third highest at plus 450. I think the Browns were oddly the Raiders were 2, which kind of buys into what I said before. You never know. Like if they trade a Mendoza, got a ton back, you go at Willis. I mean, that's probably the way I would go now that I think about it. But those are a few options there. And then you just got to see. But it's going to be a very active offseason for the Jets, and there's a lot of possibilities. And I'm excited. I'm excited to see where this goes. I can't wait for the draft here. All right, so something else I want to address. And then I'm going to – what time is it, Jay? Oh, wow, it's late. We're going long today. Putting in that overtime, man.
Yes, sir. 11:46.
Wow. I'm gonna wrap this up here. So and by the way, like, subscribe, all that stuff. Get the hype out there. Spread the word. Hit the Instagram. Hit the Twitter. All that stuff. Hit the X. The Twitter. It just sounds like a 90-year-old. Hit the Twitter. And I still don't know what 6'7" means. So if somebody could text that in, and J-Rod, when it comes and just read it, please just interrupt me. I still don't know what it is.
Well, if I could just get, it doesn't mean anything.
So it's like a Seinfeld. So it's like a Seinfeld expression.
A bit like it's kind of just like something somebody said on the internet one day, and like it's a song. It's called 6'7". It's a song by like this artist, and he goes 6'7", like he just says it in it.
Wow, what an amazing song!
And then from that, it literally just like it's just the stupid statement. I think is literally all it is. It's just
my God, yo, we got the 6'7", got you can do this. Got the 6'7", got the 6'7".
6'7" is the future. That's all you need to know. Thank you, Gurdon 901. There you go.
That's not my future.
Analysis. Yeah,
all right.
Not mine either.
No. All right, so let me wrap it up with this. So the other day, God, I think this got, I haven't checked today. It was up to like 47,000 views on Instagram. When I started posting some of the stuff to Instagram, but I really want this to be the main vehicle. So anyway, I posted you guys remember this, got a lot of play. Some articles were written about it, about me basically telling people in my field to just, drop the nonsense with the political stuff. And I stand by everything I said. Now, there's a lot of people, were you talking about this guy? Were you talking about that person? Nobody nobody specifically. I was talking about everybody. Like if it applies to you, man, I guess I'm talking to you. Yeah. But I want you guys to understand this because it's just too much and I saw a few of the comments and most people were with me. I think people appreciate that. That's not why I said it, but I think that people all right, finally some sensibility here, and the sport's supposed to be a diversion from all the real world heaviness. If it's always laced and singed with, political jabs and shoving stuff down your throat, I mean, it's not an enjoyable listen. It's really not. And I just think there's too many people in my business who take themselves way too seriously and think that they're way beyond reproach when they're incredibly expendable, much more than they think they are, because we're all expendable at the end of the day, right? But the one thing that I think was lost a little bit in context there, and I do want to clarify that now. Again, stand by everything I said. I just want to add a different layer of depth. So I'm not talking about having a conversation, whether it's on First Take with Stephen A. or any show, right that. Probably more on TV. That is a topic that affects society, that has obviously either, political or racial undertones. I'm not talking about that. That's not what I meant at all. Like those are discussions that you have to have. Me and Teak had a lot of them during COVID. I mean, you think about what was going on with COVID, and even when we were on the air with George Floyd in Minnesota, like there was a lot of things happening, and you just can't put your head in the sand and ignore that stuff. Otherwise, I don't think you're doing your job as a human. Forget about as a sports guy, right? You're not doing I just don't think that you're carrying your weight as a human being, as a father, as a provider, as an American, a concerned citizen. That's not what I mean. I'm not talking about a discussion of a shortage of African-American head coaches in the NFL. That's not what I'm talking about. That is something that needs to be discussed. That's not what I mean. What I'm saying is, just out of nowhere, just taking those gratuitous shots and just firing away and really alienating people for no reason. That's exactly what I meant. And to further clarify, if you do that and you're watching this, well, then I'm talking to you. not going to attach names to it. There's no need to. And I said that when I was in the middle of the rant. I just said nobody gives a shit what your political beliefs are. And the quicker you wise up, I think the better off we'll all be. See, something's happened on the explosion of like the digital era, and it really it's very unfortunate. Number one, it's really skewed journalism, both politics and of the world, but even sports, right? Because if you don't say something, I don't want to say stupid, but if you don't say something that is unique or different, or if you don't say it with a bombastic delivery, you're not going to really cut through. And that's incredibly unfortunate, because now you have, and I'm not saying I've done it even unintentionally or knowingly, at times. One of the things is this got some play as well. Like I love Spike. As a matter of fact, I just texted Spike yesterday about something. Spike brought me to the fan, brought me from National down the hall to WFAN. Mark Chernoff, who I also love, but Mark was the PD there forever. Mark didn't bring me. Spike did. All right. So I've got lifetime respect for Spike, and he's a good guy. What I wrestled with was his mandate. I'm not myself, although I understand it conceptually. I'm not a big fan. And he told us, like he told me and Sal, do this. And I struggle with it. Not in a hot take. Start the show right. Just get into it. And I'm saying to myself, geez, we just started the show and we're trying to learn each other here. And we're both loud and we both like to fight. Can we let the audience like us for a second? Good morning. How you doing? What's going on, Sal? BT. Well, what's new? And we didn't really do that. I think it hurt us a little bit initially. And like that's another thing that I think has been spawned out of this digital explosion. And I get it. Like if you waste 2 minutes, hey, what's going on? Oh, wow, it's a little chilly out there. Oh, yeah, had a shovel last night. Oh, traffic was up the wazoo. Oh, the Holland Tunnel was a mess. Can you believe gas prices? Dude, get to the content. Like we all know that the economy's not in a great spot. Gas sucks. Traffic stinks. The roads are busted with potholes. We know. We all know this. So I just get to the show eventually. But I thought there was a happy medium. You know what I mean? And that was one aspect of it, a smaller aspect. But the real big aspect is, you really almost, a lot of people are, I don't want to say forced because it's under their own volition. It's not like somebody has a gun to their head. But in trying to cut through and establish content that's going to make the rounds and get you more followers and get you more clout and make you more employable and eventually monetize that stuff. Like I get the game, man. Understood. I mean, trust me, the way I'm going to make money with here outside of sponsorships is for this thing to keep growing from 1,000 to 5,000 to 10,000 to 12,500 to 15,000 subs to eventually 20 and then eventually 30 and 50 and 100. Then I'll get the plaque from YouTube. Like, yeah, I mean, that's obviously the goal. I get it. But I do like this forum compared to, some of the other ones, or at least some of the philosophies out there, because, I could ease into it a little bit and I could get nutty when I really need to get nutty. And it's not overkill. You know what I'm saying? And that is separate from injecting your personal political beliefs. I just don't understand. I can't. Like at the end of the day, I'm obviously expendable because WFAN decided to move on from me. I thought it was wrong. I mean, I said a million times, BT and Sal was awesome. We should be on the air. But that's fine. We're not. All right. And you pivot and you recover and you get better and you do better. But I was expendable, Eventually, Mike Francesa stopped working more on his own volition. But, there were like 3 shows in the afternoon drive after Mike, different variations, expendable, talented people, too. Some of whom are friends. I did TV with Bart. I like Carlin. I think Maggie's cool. I like that crew, And everybody is expendable. So I would like us to get to a place here, which sadly, I don't think that we're ever going to get to. It's like I'm at the top of this mountain, and I'm not trying to turn this into the content pulpit, but that was the genesis of, I'll use the word attack, or my tirade of those of you out there who just don't get the memo. Nobody cares who you voted for. Nobody cares what you think about politics, unless you are a host on The View, and that's your job. Unless you're Sean Hannity or Brian Kilmeade or Chris Cuomo or whomever. Don Lemon when he was on CNN, they're doing different stuff now, but you know what I mean? Like that's when you talk about politics. And even that's offensive for many because it seems too often it's never really attacked in a very fair and thoughtful manner. It becomes mean and angry. That's what I meant. So I wanted to clarify that. Again, that clip will live in perpetuity. I stand by it all. Never name a name, never attack somebody like that. That's not my game. I'm worried about me. But I'm also thinking about you because I know that you guys are subjected to that. And I know you're tired of it. And I know it's old. And I know it's frustrating. And, hopefully some people wake up and they get better at their job. Hey, J-Rob, what do you got on tap for the weekend here before I get out? What are you doing?
Let's see. What's good for the weekend? Honestly, I'm going to batten down. I think I'm going to try to cook up on that song a bit. Ooh. I think that's my main goal for this weekend.
Yes. Okay. Have we written any lyrics at all?
Plans kind of arise Friday through Sunday, but yeah, that's definitely my goal for this weekend. Get cranking on that track.
I love they froze up there for a sec. I got it. You're going to work on it this weekend. Are there any lyrics? Is there any general direction? I know you kind of wrestling with concepts and direction and flow. Anything?
Yesterday, I just had this line in my head. When you step to him, you better practice what you preach.
Ooh,
there is something.
Here we go.
There is something.
We step to him. That does. How do you make that flow though? When you step to him,
you better practice what you preach, because what was unkillable has now become unleashed. Something like that.
Here we go. I knew there was more that would tie it into the rhyme. J-Rod, everybody.
Come
All
on.
right, dude. I am looking forward to it. There you go. Listen, if you do go out, I know you went to that concert last week. Keep living the life. If not the first date, when you get to the third date with somebody, your boy BT is going to take care of dinner for you, make some arrangements
sir.
if it's somebody that you think is special. And we'll obviously not going to divulge everything that happens on the date, but we'll make it, we'll bring the BT, we'll bring the BT fam into it and let us know you'll let us know how J-Rod's dating life is going. So have a good weekend. Can't wait to hear if it's not ready by Monday, I'd rather you do it right, which I know you will, rather than rush it. So all good if it's not ready by Monday. Hopefully thanks, buddy. So have a good weekend, dude. I'll catch you, man. I'll talk to you over the weekend, obviously offline. I'm waiting for these things from Amazon to be able to block out these. I mean, it's right in the middle of the logo. I mean, geez, could these lights be placed at a worse spot? But I'm thrilled with the way it came out. It just, man, I do notice some fingerprints. I got to clean it up a bit. But my guy, Mike Cordovano, who is not only a good friend, but amazing at his job, him and his crew, Ralphie, they were here. Really went out of their way to make it right. It's a big, like when they actually, people thought it was a poster. But when I tell you, first of all, it took 2.5 hours, this back wall to do, because I had to prep it a little bit. But then it's a vinyl, think of a fathead, only vinyl and a very expensive, good material. And they peel it off. Then they got to put it on. They've got to heat. They've got this like a hair dryer. They got to heat through it. And it's at it was like 4 different patches. It wasn't one big thing where they just affixed it and then it was on. It was like, all right, here's 25% done. Now we get the next massive rollout, right? Like the biggest sheet of wallpaper you've ever seen. Here's the next one. Here's the next one. Here's the next one. And to measure it up, obviously, which they had to do, they did that a week or so ago. You wanted to make sure, like, imagine if they put it up and my head was like, I'm like that, or it was just totally out of whack. So they did a great job. I'm so thankful for it. To me, it feels a little bigger, feels a little more real. And it just keeps giving me the fuel that I've had from minute one, and the belief and the conviction what we're doing here. Couldn't do it without you guys. You know that. I mean, studio could look great. I could be talking to nobody. So the Unleashed family continues to grow. J-Rod has been awesome. The tweets, even the stuff on the IG, the stuff on X, hammer it out, like it, subscribe it, hype it up, let your buddies know. Have an awesome, awesome weekend. I am curious how St. John's plays tomorrow up at Providence. They're better. They've got the longest high major win streak in the country. Like Miami of Ohio is playing well, St. Louis, but in terms of like the Power Five, the top conferences, St. John's has the longest win streak in the country. They've won 10 straight. Bryce Hopkins going up to Providence. I've been up there a lot. It is going to be a hell pit for him. Those fans are relentless here. So I'm very curious. St. John's right about a 5 seed now, and 23, 24, the net ranking, 17 in the AP poll, 16 in the coaches poll. Like, they're making their move. And then you got a date up in stores coming up soon. And then before you know it, Big East tournament, Selection Sunday, March Madness. I'm going to give you a ton of content on that because I travel with St. John's. I'll go to all the if they go to the Final Four, I'll be there. So have some coaches on, obviously, Rick, and now we could start really focusing on the guest list, which is something I'm going to do this weekend, where I've got a ton of names here, but now I've got to really start plotting out when I'm going to do it, and it's going to be separate content from the show. So we're going to go live every day, 10, as we do, and then I will record roughly about an hour conversation with people that I know you want to hear from and people I want to chop it up with. So let me go. Have a great Friday. Have a great weekend. Appreciate the support. Keep those tweets and those comments coming in. Spread the word. Unleash. Peace. See you on Monday. Bye-bye.
This is Unleash. Are you listening? Can you hear me? This is Unleash. Are you listening? Can you hear me? This is Unleash. Are you listening? Can you hear me? This is Unleash. Are you listening? Can you hear me?
With your host,